Good morning, children. So, in the last class, you have seen how the British said that the East learning is the waste thing. Sanskrit and all, it is not at all productive and it does not teach the profits, it does not teach the economics to the children. So, it is a waste learning. Unscientific teaching is there. There are a lot of errors involved in the teaching schools. So, it is useless to impress the local Indians, both the Hindus and Muslims. A type of teaching, it is baseless, it is all waste and it is full of errors. There is an unscientific teaching. And teachings in the form of poetry is of no use. Teaching in the form of grammar is of no use. Language will not help them. There are no moral values in it, right? All these things were told by the British in order to remove the East learning in India. And what they started, they told that even the Arabic learning, Persian learning, it is also the waste. They are in the form of it is all baseless and it is not useful to the children. It is not of a practicality. Practically, it is not useful. So, what happened to the local schools? Let us see. The report of William Adam in the 1830s. William Adam, a Scottish missionary, toured the districts of Bengal and Bihar. He asked by the company to report on the progress of education in vernacular schools. The report of Adam produced is interesting. So, the report given by the Adam is really interesting. In the 1830s, William Adam, a Scottish missionary, he toured the districts of the Bengal and the Bihar. He had been asked by the company to submit a report regarding the progress of the education in vernacular schools, means in the different schools which were there in the districts of the Bengal and Bihar, which was started by the English missionaries in India. The report of Adam produced is interesting. Adam found that there were 1 lakh pathshalas in Bengal and Bihar. There were small institutions with no more than 20 students each, but the total number of children being taught in these pathshalas was considerable, over 20 lakh. These institutions were set up by wealthy people or the local community. At times they were started by a teacher, guru. So here Adam found that there were more than 1 lakh pathshalas in Bengal and Bihar. Pathshalas means schools. How many were there? There were more than 1 lakh. And these were the small institutions where there were only 20 students in each school, and but in total, when they are made total, they were over 20 lakh students, right? Each pathshala or each school was having how many students? So here you can see there were more than 20 lakh students who were studying in these pathshalas. These were very small pathshalas, small schools with only 20 students each, and these institutions were set up by the wealthy people or the local communities. At that times they were started by the guru, means there was only one teacher who had started this pathshala. The system of education was flexible. Few things that you associated with the schools today were present in the pathshalas at that time. See here, whatever the education was flexible, it was not compulsory, it was flexible. Few things that you associated now were few things which are present today in the schools that were present in the pathshalas that time only. There were no fixed fee, no printed books, no separate school buildings, no benches or chairs, no blackboards, no system of separate classes, no roll call registers, no annual examinations, and no regular timetable. So this was how those old pathshalas were there. There was no fixed fee for the children, no printed books were there, no separate school building was there, no benches or chairs were there, no blackboards were there, no system of examination was there, no separate classes were available, call registers, roll numbers were not there, no annual examinations were there, and no regular timetable was there. In some places classes were held under a banyan tree. So where were the classes held? Under the banyan tree. ಆಲದ ಮರದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಫೀ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲರಿ ಅವಾಗ. ಫಿಕ್ಸ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟೆಡ್ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಆ್ಯನ್ಯುವಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮಿನೇಷನ್ಸ್ನ ತಗೋತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ರೋಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬೆಂಚ್ಗಳಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಚೇರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು? ಒಂದು ಗಿಡದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಓದ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. In other places, in the corner of a village, shop or temple, or at the guru's home. So in other places they were learning in the shop, or they were learning inside the temple, or at the guru's home they were learning. Fee dependent on the income of the parents. So how the guru, how the teacher was collecting the fee? On the income of the parents they were collecting the fees. The rich had to pay more than the poor. Yes, the rich people were paying more to the teacher compared to the poor one. Teaching was oral and the guru decided what to teach. So teaching, how it was done? It was done orally. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಾಯಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರಿ? ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಮಕ್ಕಳಿಗೆ ಬಹಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಟೀಚಿಂಗ್ ವಾಸ್ ಡನ್ ಓರಲಿ. Right, and the guru was deciding what to teach to the students in accordance with the needs of the students. According to the needs of the students, the guru was teaching them the lessons. Students were not separated out into different classes. All of them sat together in one place. See here, the students were not differentiated into different classes, but all were sitting together in one place. The guru interacted separately with groups of children with different levels of learning. So the guru was interacting with the children with different groups of children with different levels of learning. ಅಂದರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್, ಫೋರ್ತ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್, ಫಿಫ್ತ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ? ಒಂದೇ ಕಡೆ ಕೂಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಟೀಚರ್ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದ? ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ನಿಗೆ, ಅಂದರೆ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡರ್ಡ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಇಂಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ಆಲ್ ವರ್ ಸಿಟ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ವೇರ್? ಅಂಡರ್ ದ ಬನಿಯನ್ ಟ್ರೀ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ ವರ್ ಲಿಸ್ನಿಂಗ್ ಟು ದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟೀಚರ್. ದೇರ್ ವೇರ್ ನೋ ಸಪ್ರೇಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ಸ್, ದೇರ್ ವೇರ್ ನೋ ಬೆಂಚಸ್, ದೇರ್ ವೇರ್ ನೋ ಚೇರ್ಸ್. Right, there were no blackboards and all, there were no printed books. Orally the teaching was given to the children. Adam discovered that this flexible system was suited to local needs. For instance, classes were not held during the harvest time when rural children often worked in the fields. So the classes were not held during where? During the harvesting time. Harvesting time ಅಂದರೆ ರಾಶಿ ಮಾಡೋ ಟೈಮ್ನಾಗ ಕ್ಲಾಸಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ ವರ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಇನ್ ದ fields. The Pathshala started once again when the crops had been cut and stored. So when was the Pathshala? When was the school used to begin? When the crops were cut, when they were grown and cut, that time, cut and stored, that time only the classes used to begin. This meant that even children of peasant families could study. So this helped the children of the peasant families, farmers' family children were able to study, because during the harvesting season there were no classes. That time children used to work in the field. They used to cut the crop and store the food grains. So farmers' children were able to study in the local schools or the Pathshalas. This is a painting by a Dutch painter, Francois Solwin, who came to India in the late 18th century. He tried to depict the everyday life of people in his paintings. So he was here, he had done the paintings, and here you can see there is a one guru and there are so many children who are learning. You can see there is a group of children who are learning. New routines, new rules. Let us see now. to the mid of 19th century, the company was concerned primarily with the higher education, so it allowed the local pathshalas to function without much interference. So what it happened, the company was interested only in the higher education of the students, so it did not interfere, the company did not interfere in the local pathshalas and allowed it to function like as it is. After 1854, the company decided to improve the system of vernacular education. Now the company decided that we have to improve the system of vernacular education. Means the school education it wanted to improve. So for that sake, it felt that this could be done by introducing order within the system, imposing routines, establishing rules, ensuring regular inspections. So here the company decided that now it's the time to introduce the order within the system. So to bring into one order, imposing the routines, establishing the rules, ensuring regular inspections. We find Christian schools, right, more disciplined, because what happened here, they are imposing the routines. When you work under the British administration, what you like the most is the discipline. They are always concerned with the discipline of the students, right? When they are disciplined, automatically they sit and study. So getting up at early in the morning, studying, right, all these things, establishing rules, how to write, improving the good handwriting, they stress on good handwriting, ensuring regular inspections, right, how they are writing and all regular inspections they are doing. How was this to be done? What measures did the company undertake? It appointed a number of government pandits, each in charge of looking after 4 to 5 schools. So it appointed a number of government pandits in charge of looking after 4 to 5 schools. So there was government pandits who should look after how many schools? 4 to 5 schools. The task of the Pandit was to visit the Pathshala and try and improve the standard of teaching. So what was the task of the Pandit? The work of the Pandit is to improve the Pathshalas and each Guru and the standard of the teaching. So here they had given work to the Pandits also. What was the Pandit's work? He has to improve the standard of the Pathshalas. Each Guru was asked to submit periodic reports and take classes to a regular timetable. So here now each Guru, now each teacher, what was made? They were made to submit what? Periodic reports. So every month report they have to submit to the British, and they have to take the classes in a regular mode, regular timetable. The British had given the timetable, and regularly now they have to take the classes. Teaching was now to be based on textbooks, and learning was to be tested through a system of annual examination. So in our local Pathshalas, there was no annual examination, there was no written, nothing. They were not doing like that. Orally, the teacher was teaching, orally the teacher was taking, the Guru was taking the examinations. Now what happened? Now there is a standard. They improved the standard of teaching. How? The British? Now British told that you have to submit the periodic reports and you have to take the classes timetable regularly on the timetable, and teaching should be based on the textbooks and learning should be tested how? Through a system of annual examination. Students were asked to pay a regular fee. Now the students were told that you have to pay the regular fees, attend regular classes, sit on fixed seats and obey the new rules of discipline. So the students were sitting wherever they want. Right now it is not like that. They had to pay the school fees, they had to attend the classes regularly, they have to sit on the fixed seats, and they have to obey what? New rules of discipline. Now they have to follow the new rules of the discipline. Pathshalas which accepted the new rules were supported through government grants. So Pathshalas who supported the government were given what? Grants. Grants means they were given some donations also, and they were given permission to conduct the schools in the local areas. Those who were unwilling to work within the new system received no government support. For them who told that some teachers were unwilling to work under the British, they were not given any support by the British government. Over time, gurus who wanted to retain their independence found it difficult to compete within the government aided and regulated Pathshalas. So what happened over the times? The gurus who were not interested to work with the government found that the government aided schools and regulated Pathshalas were not giving the enough, they were unable to compete with them. Competition doing with the government support and regulated Pathshalas were unable, the teachers were unable to compete. Our local Pathshalas were unable to compete with the government aided schools and regulated Pathshalas. The new rules and routines had another consequence. Nodri, another ಏನತ್ರಿ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ ಏನು ಬಂತಪ್ಪ? ಕಾನ್ಸಿಕ್ವೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದರೆ ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ಸ್. ನ್ಯೂ ರೂಲ್ಸ್ ರೂಟೀನ್ಸ್ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕೆ another consequence, another result they had faced. In the earlier system, children from poor peasant families had been able to go to Pathshalas since the timetable was flexible. So what happened? The poor peasant families, poor peasant and the farmers families in the poor background children were able to go to the Pathshalas. Pathshalas ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಏನಿತ್ರಿ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇತ್ತು. ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಟೈಮ್ ಟೇಬಲಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ವೇರ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಟು ದ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ಸ್. ಸಿನ್ಸ್ ದ ಟೈಮ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ವಾಸ್ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್, ಟೈಮ್ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಫ್ಲೆಕ್ಸಿಬಲ್ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಅವ್ರು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು? ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಪಾಸಿಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಇತ್ತು. ದ ಡಿಸಿಪ್ಲಿನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ನ್ಯೂ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಡಿಮ್ಯಾಂಡೆಡ್ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಅಟೆಂಡೆನ್ಸ್. So British said that you should be regularly attending the schools even during harvest time, when children of poor families had to work in the fields. Nodri, this was the problem where the poor children, that time they have to work under the fields, that time they were unable to come to the schools. But what the British administration told, what about the British system? It is telling that you should come to the school throughout the year, even during the harvesting seasons. But local Pathshalas were giving them holidays during the harvest season. Still the food grains are cut and stored, they were getting the holidays. But here what happened? The discipline of the new system demanded what? Regular attendance even during the harvest time, when the children of the poor families were working in the fields. Inability to attend school came to be seen as indiscipline, as evidence of lack of desire to learn. So even though they had the desire to learn, even though they were interested to learn, but what happened? Because of their poverty, because of their work as a labor in the fields, they were unable to get the education. They were worried, they were not getting the education because in their home what happened? They were forced during the harvest season. The poor families of the farmers told the children to help them to cut the food grains and help them in storing the food grains. So even though they had lack of desire to read and write, they were unable to go to the schools. So children, now you can see you are very lucky. Your parents give you all the facilities to sit and study. You have a separate rooms there, you are given the books and all, the mobile phones are with you. But there are so many children who are not getting these facilities. When the God has given you the facilities, you have to use them and you have to concentrate on reading. You should have the desire for reading. Agenda for a national education. Next comes what? The agenda for a national education. So now they are going to prepare the agenda. Now they are going to prepare one motto for a national education. Let us see. British officials were not the only people thinking about education in India. From the early 19th centuries, many thinkers from different parts of India began to talk the need for a wider spread of education. So in India, there were a lot of thinkers who were also worried for the India's people of education, because Indians were not getting the proper education, right? So let us see. Impressed with the developments in Europe, some Indians felt that Western education would help modernize India. So many people who have learned in the British schools, they felt that in order to modernize India, in order to develop India, Western type of education is necessary in India. So only people have put children, you are coming to the English medium schools. How you are coming to the English medium schools? Because the Western education was introduced in the 18th centuries by the British government, and many of the people in those days, they thought that in order to get India modernized, in order to make the India developed, what is necessary? Western education is necessary. They urged the British to open more schools, colleges and universities and spend more money on education. So the local thinkers, the local scholars, the local philosophers, what they did? They urged, they started fighting for the more schools, telling the British to open the more schools, colleges, universities and spend more money on the education of the Indians, because they wanted to see India as a modernized country. Like a Western country, it also should become the developed country. There were other Indians, however, who reacted against Western education. Mahatma Gandhi and Rabindranath Tagore were two such individuals. So who were they? They were the Rabindranath Tagore as well as the Mahatma Gandhi ji, who had who had forced the British to start more and more schools, universities, colleges in India and spend more money on the education of the Indians. English education has enslaved us. Let us see. Mahatma Gandhi argued that colonial education created a sense of inferiority in the minds of Indians. So what happened here? Mahatma Gandhi is telling that colonial education, what it created inside us is that it had created inferiority in the minds of Indians. It made them see Western civilization as superior and destroyed the pride they had there in their own culture. So Mahatma Gandhi ji is telling that you started Western education in India to show that Indians are inferiors compared to the Britishers. You had lost, you made the people lost their pride, their abhimana. Pride andre abhimana, hemme, that is all lost. They had lost it in their own culture. They had lost it in the Indian culture. Our own culture has been destroyed by whom? By the Britishers. There were a poison in this education, said Mahatma Gandhi. He said that this Western education is nothing but giving poison to the children. It was sinful, it enslaved Indians, it cast an evil spell on them. So here he is telling that sending the children to the British schools is nothing but giving poison to the children, said Mahatma Gandhi. He said that it is sinful. Papa the Khalsa, it enslaved Indians. It made the Indians slaves for whom? For the Britishers. It cast an evil spell on them. They simply, blindly, they started following the British people, thinking that our traditions, our customs, our culture is not scientific. It is full of errors. Charmed by the West, appreciating everything that came from the West, Indians educated in these institutions began admiring British rule. See here, charmed by the West, they were so much, what we can say, they went up with the Western cultures. Indians educated in these institutions began admiring what? British rule. They started becoming the British, they started following the British rule. They started admiring the British rule. Mahatma Gandhi wanted an education that could help Indians recover their sense of dignity and self-respect. So Mahatma Gandhi stressed here that education should be such that Indians should have the sense of dignity and self-respect for their own culture, for their country. During the national movement, he urged students to leave educational institutions in order to show to the British that Indians were no longer willing to be enslaved. He stressed that many Indians that you should stop going to the British educational institutions. He told both the Hindus and Muslims, he gave a call that now you stop going to the schools of the British institutions. Because what happened here, he saw that the Hindus and Muslims, they started losing their traditional values. They started forgetting their own traditional values, their customs, rituals and all. And they simply started blindly following whom? The British. They started becoming the slaves of the British. They started admiring the British rule. Both Hindus and Muslims, they had forgotten their religion, their customs, their traditions. They started wearing the what you can see, the dress of the British people. They started using the goods and services which were produced by the British people. They started admiring the British culture rather than the Indians. So he said that our Indians, that is both Hindus and Muslims, they had forgot our Indian culture. They had forgot that they are the citizens of India, and they started blindly following whom? The British. Mahatma Gandhi strongly felt that Indian languages ought to be the medium of teaching. So he was against the English medium of teaching. He told that the Indians should be taught in the Indian medium of Indian languages medium of teaching. That is, the Muslims means they were following the Arabic or the Persian languages. They were reading in that. And Hindus means they were reading in the Sanskrit languages. That medium of teaching should be there in India, not the English medium of teaching. Education in English crippled Indians, distanced them from their own social surroundings and made them strangers in their own lands. Here he is telling that English crippled Indians. Means what happened? Whatever is there in the British culture, whatever the British people had done about their history, it is there in India. But what about our Indian kings, Indian rulers? What about their achievements? What about their givings to the India? That is not there. Their culture, their heritage, that is not there. Their dynastic rule, it is not there. It is all about the Queen Victoria, the Governor Generals who had ruled the India. So he said that it is maintaining the distance from their own lands. They are unknown about what their kings and queens in the ancestors, the ancestors who had done, what they had contributed to the India. That is not there. It may be the Mughal emperors, or it may be the Indian kings who had that may be the Hindu kings like Maratha kings, Rajputs, their contributions to the Indian culture and heritage, it is not there. But other than that, what is there in the British textbooks? It is only about the governor generals. There, what the Queen Victoria has given, what the East India Company has done. Why? About their achievements, about their contributions to India only. About that the syllabus was framed, or that was there. That was taking away our Indians, both Hindus and Muslims, from their own land. They were feeling that there is the sense of dignity and self-respect was coming down, because people started thinking that we are the inferiors and Britishers are the superiors. Speaking a foreign tongue, despising local culture. So this was happening. They started foreign tongue. Speaking foreign tongue means they started speaking the English language. They forgot their own language. That is the Islams. The Muslims were talking in the Arabic or in the Persian languages. They had forgotten to speak that. And Hindus, they were talking in the Hindi or other local languages. Now they had also forgot their local mother tongue language. But what they were speaking, everyone was speaking the English language. The local culture, they had forgot their local culture. The English educated did not know how to relate to the masses. Yes. Now they had a problem that how to maintain the relation with the masses. They had forgot it. They had become purely the agents of the British. Now they had stopped the relation with the masses, means with the public, how to relate themselves to the public, that is Indians, how to relate to the other Indians. That was a problem for them. Educated Hindus and Muslims, they had forgotten their own local culture. So this was the problem. There was a problem of interaction between the masses. They were not communicating properly with the masses. Western education, Mahatma Gandhi said, focused on reading and writing rather than oral knowledge. It valued textbooks rather than lived experience and practical knowledge. So Western education, Mahatma Gandhi is telling about the Western education. It focused on reading and writing rather than oral knowledge. So children are not getting the oral knowledge. It valued textbooks rather than lived experience and practical knowledge. Here the children are valuing the textbook. They don't have the living experience. They don't have the practical knowledge about the things. So here that time only Gandhiji had said that Western education, what it is doing, it is focusing only on reading and writing. But what it is not focusing, the oral knowledge of the children is not there. It only valued the textbooks. Whatever is there in the textbook, that they are teaching. It is only valuing the textbook. But what about the living experience? From where does the children get it? Practical knowledge is not there. ಅವಾಗ ಪೇಜಸ್ ಟುಗೆದರ್ನ ಬಾಹೆಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಕವಿ, ಒಂದು ಪೋಯೆಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ಟೆಲ್ pages together of the poems without looking the script. They used to by-heart it, and they are able to tell before the kings, before the samantas, before the public. They were able to talk. They were able to talk hours together. They used to make debates, speeches hours together without any written script. But what happened when the Western education came to India? We all started depending on the book, on the scripts we started depending. But in the olden days, were they dependent on the scripts? Were they dependent on the books? No. Whatever they have learnt, they were able to write it on the books. But now what happened? We have evolved ourselves in the books. Out of books we don't know, we don't have practical knowledge, we don't have the living experiences of the life. That what Gandhiji was stressing. Our children will lose the oral knowledge. Oral knowledge means orally speaking. Whatever the knowledge they have, they should be able to speak rather than writing skills. Now children had become, they were good in writing skills, but when it comes to the oral education, they were not showing that same spirit, or that their same knowledge was not visible from the children's side. So this is what Mahatma Gandhiji argued. He argued that education ought to develop a person's mind and soul. So here Gandhiji is telling that the education should develop the person's mind as well as his soul. ಆತ್ಮ ಮತ್ತು ಮನಸ್ಸನ್ನು ಎರಡನ್ನೂ ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು. Literacy or simply learning to read and write by itself did not count as education. So here he is telling that reading and writing is not education by itself. Doing it is not an education. Counting the numbers is not education. But education should create awareness both in the mind as well as the soul. People had to work with their hands, learn a craft, and know how different things operated. So here is telling that people, means the children needs to have the practical knowledge, how their hands learn craft. They should learn the crafting. They should learn know the different things, how the machineries are operated, that they should learn. How they will learn? By the practical experience they will come to know how a plant grows. That you don't tell it while you are reading the textbook. Let them go and plant a seed. Then they will see, by watering the plant, by taking care of the plants, they will come to know how a plant will grow. So that is what the Gandhiji stressed, that children need to have the practical knowledge. This would develop their mind and their capacity to understand. Here he is telling that this will develop his mind as well as what? The capacity to understand, right? Whatever you learn, when it is shown practically, you are very much happy about it, right? Are you not happy? Yes, you are definitely happy. That is what Gandhiji said in the olden days. Mahatma Gandhi, along with Kasturba Gandhi, sitting with Rabindranath Tagore and a group of girls at Shantiniketan 1940. So here you can see the Rabindranath Tagore is there, Mahatma Gandhi is there, they are all sitting together. Kasturba Gandhi, who is the wife of Mahatma Gandhi, all are sitting together, and there are the girls who are studying in Shantiniketana in 1940. You can see there is a group of girls. They are telling that civilizing the native, educating the nation. So let us see, as nationalist sentiments spread, other thinkers also began thinking of a system of national education which would be radically different from that set up by the British. Now people started thinking that there should be a nationalist sentiments spread. Nationalist sentiments spread means now after reading the textbook you should become proud of India, because you are living in a country called India. You should be proud of it. You should be proud of your own culture. You should be proud of your tradition. You should be proud of your religion. You should become patriotic towards your country. But what was happening when you were studying the British education? Children started feeling that India is inferior, whereas the British is a good country, Britain is a good country. Form of patriotism was totally changed. People started feeling that we are inferior and Britishers are the superior to us. So that mindset should be changed. So now national sentiments, they started thinking the national education, they started thinking of the national education which would be radically different from that set up by the British. Let us see now Tagore's Abode of Peace. Many of you may have heard about Shantiniketan. Do you know why it was established and by whom? So we have all heard about the Shantiniketan, which is there in Bengal, that school we all have heard. Let us see who has established it and why it was established. Rabindranath Tagore started the institution in 1901. So in 1901 he had started the institution called the Shantiniketana. As a child, Tagore hated going to school. So as a child, Tagore was not interested to go to school. He found it suffocating and oppressive. Suffocating ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಉಸಿರು ಕಟ್ಟಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತು, oppressive ಇತ್ತು. Right, the school appeared like a prison, for he could never do what he felt like doing. So Rabindranath Tagore felt that school is like a prison. Prison ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಜೈಲ್ನಾಗ ಇಟ್ಟಂಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತು. What he wanted to do, that he was not allowed for doing. He felt like that So while other children listened to the teacher, Tagore's mind would wander away. So when other children were listening to the class, listening to the teacher, that time Tagore's mind was going away of the syllabus, away of the school, away of the teacher. The experience of his school days in Calcutta shaped Tagore's ideas of education. So what he started the new idea of education. After completing his school days in Calcutta, Tagore started a new idea of education. On growing up, he wanted to set up a school where the child was happy, where she could be free and creative, where she was able to explore her own thoughts and desires. So Tagore felt that he has to remove a school in such a way that where the students should feel happy, he should do whatever he wants to like to do, and the school should be creative. It should explore what his thoughts and desires. Right, further story tomorrow we will discuss.